Hello, I'm Sam Smith, and welcome to Sports Bar. Sports bars are now everywhere, and we have our share right here in Boone. Essentially, they're the place where folks simply go to talk about sports. It's a friendly environment. That perfectly describes Apps TV Sports Bar, with the exception that here, we do it without beer. App State's Associate Athletic Director, David Jackson, will be sharing the hosting responsibility with me. Our student sports fans are all rising seniors. And we have Ashton Schlachter, who is, of course, a class of 2016, and electronic and media broadcasting is what she's studying. Also, Chris Warner, he's focusing on journalism. A little more on him in just a moment. And our producer, happy to have Robin Palmer with us, also a rising senior studying video production. And that means that we've introduced all of our panel. Now let's talk some sports. You know, many times you watch a sports show and you see guys in Los Angeles or New York, they've got an opinion. You, of course, right here in Boone and in our surrounding area, want to know what we, on this particular high point called The Rock, are talking about in sports. That's why we've invited our students to join our sports bar today. And they, of course, are going to be voicing the opinion, maybe many just like you. One of the first items, guys, that want to talk about is the NBA. Having spent 19 to 20 years in the NBA as a broadcaster there, I'm quite excited about the matchup, Cleveland and Golden State. Chris, let me start with you. Golden State had to go 7 games to get into this, while Cleveland had a pretty long run off. Is that going to be a factor in this coming up?
Well, for Golden State, I mean, coming down to, I think it was actually 5 games, but 5 games for Golden State. With the injuries that they sustained, I mean, for Cleveland, it was a huge benefit. For Golden State, it's going to be rough going in initially, I think. It'll all depend on if Klay Thompson can get healthy. Klay Thompson, everybody talks about Stephen Curry. He's obviously the guy there. He's the MVP. But at the same time, Klay Thompson is a guy that without his production, they're not going to be able to hang with a combo of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. They're just not. I mean, even with the depth that they have, the production they've gotten in Draymond Green, the Cavs have got the same to match. Tristan Thompson stepped up in the series in the absence of Kevin Love, and J.R. Smith shooting the lights out, and Mon Shumpert. So it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. Thompson
and Curry, known as the Splash Brothers because of the great three-point shooting. But on the other side of the coin, Robin, maybe I'll throw this at you. You've got to guard LeBron James. How did they do that? Did they double-team him and just let him knock the points, but then rely on having Cleveland shoot threes, or do you let him have the 40 and 50-point nights?
Well, I think what you have to do is you have to put pressure on him, but you can't do what the Hawks did. We all saw the video of Kyle Korver running out to the three-point line. You're not going to give LeBron the lane. I mean, draw the foul, do something. Just, don't let him take charge of the court, You have to play defense. You have to match your man. And, I mean, because who's going to be matched up on LeBron? It's going to be Green probably, right?
Green, most likely, yeah.
Green, he stepped up his offense throughout the season. He's not going to be guarding LeBron. So that's when your center has to step up. That's when other people have to help down. And if he passes it out to the three-point line, they're not always going to make it. I'd rather have, J.R. Smith shoot a 3 and possibly get on a streak than just give LeBron an easy 2, possibly an and 1 as well.
Are we going to be seeing the greatest basketball player in the history of the NBA playing? When we look at LeBron, so much has been made about Michael Jordan. Is LeBron in that same category, you think?
He's definitely in the category. I don't know if you're saying that he's number 1. I mean, that's a big leap. I'd definitely say he's the best player in the game right now, 100%. I mean, you look at his stats, you look at his energy, you look at how long he's been playing, the number of teams that were vying for him when he was up. He's the best. He's the one who's out there now. But when you're looking at Jordan, I don't know if you can say that he's in the category. I don't know if he's really reaching for the top spot right now, though. But it's definitely going to be a good game. And, I mean, when you look at a team like the Warriors and the Cavs, I mean, you hope that you're going to see the game. And I think we're going to see 7 good games. I don't think we're going to go down to 4 or 5. We're going to do the whole series, and it's going to be great. I mean, you got to hope that LeBron goes out with, they're hoping for a fire from him. They're hoping that he's going to hit the shots. They're hoping he's going to break everything he can, get people to the goal. He's going to do what he can, but the Warriors got to get him down to more of a fizzle, I think. You can't shut him down completely, but you got to hold him to a point where you can control him.
Now, going off of that, though, I mean, LeBron, they're paying a lot of attention to that, but you still have Irving. And it's Kevin Love just said the other day he's planning on playing this series. He's planning on being back game one. I mean, you can't just stop LeBron to stop the Cavs. There have been multiple games where, LeBron hasn't done anything. Kyrie stepped up and got 40-something points, or Kevin Love went off. It's not just LeBron, and that's what makes this team scary. After they started out their year rough, once they started getting everything back together, it's been game over. It's hard to slow them down.
And I think you knew that was going to happen. I mean, when you saw LeBron go to the Heat, I mean, that was a super jam-packed lineup. But even they didn't start that great. They started the season slow, and everyone goes to question. And similar situation, it's a new coach, David Blatt, to Spoelstra at the time. But I think at this point in LeBron's career, he took over. Once everybody got in a swing of things and got used to playing with each other, they started the season with a brand new lineup, basically, other than returning Tristan Thompson and having Kyrie Irving come back. Everybody else has kind of been a hodgepodge of different guys, and LeBron has shown that he can make this a cohesive unit. And going back to LeBron, are we looking at the greatest player? I would say that with Michael Jordan, he'll never be Michael Jordan because he'll never be undefeated in the finals. And that's what it comes down to, is that killer instinct. He'll never be undefeated in the finals. But what there's a chance he could go to more finals. Michael Jordan retired mid-career and then came back and did it. So there's years lost there that he wasn't potentially winning championships because he went out on top. With LeBron, barring something crazy, I've heard LeBron playing tight end for Cleveland or the Cleveland Browns or something. Barring something crazy, you're going to see LeBron in some more finals. That's the reason he made the decision to go to Cleveland and play with Irving, is because it's the best point guard he's ever played with, potentially one of the best point guards in the game, sans Steph Curry. He's gonna put himself up there. I could definitely see him being number 2, maybe.
Well, let's put it. We got A and 1A. Let's do that.
Even better. Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, on Thompson, Clay, who by the way is the son of Michael Thompson, who played in the National Basketball Association for many years. I had a chance of calling many of his games as well. The latest word on him on the concussion thing is by Thursday, which is the first game out of Golden State, is that he will work out on Tuesday and Wednesday almost full bore if the doctors give him the clearance, and he could be ready to go. So that's a big plus for Golden State. Now, the other plus, I'll throw it out here, they've got the home court advantage. They get the first 2 games at Golden State, and Seth Curry, with his little daughter, I don't know if you saw the press conference of the light, simply said, hey, we got to have our fans, and we have to do what we have to do on the home court. How big a deal is that, do you think?
Well, with the Warriors, I'd say it's a huge deal. They broke a franchise record for most games won at home. What did they lose? 2 games the entire season at home? That's a big deal. The home court advantage is a thing in this series. Now, will it be the end-all luck factor behind it? I'm not too sure, because as we were just saying, different people are coming back, but they might not be playing at 100%. Klay Thompson coming back with a concussion, we haven't seen him play since that happened, so we don't know if he'll be, putting up the threes or running into the paint as he always does. But definitely it will play a role, having home court advantage for the first 2 games. It'll set the bar.
Well, Ashton has predicted 7 games. Concur in possibly a 7-game series here, and any favorites? You have any favorites to win this thing right now?
I would say it's going to go 6 or 7 games. 6 being if LeBron absolutely takes over. And I think you have to look at the fact that LeBron has the playoff experience that all of the Golden State Warriors lack. He has finals experience, not playoff experience, but finals experience. And I think that's what's most important in this case. LeBron's been in 4 or 5 NBA finals at this point in his career versus a bunch of young guys who are just peaking. So if the Cavaliers go in and blow them out game 1. I don't think it'll happen, but if you do that, how does that deflate a young team who's been used to just blowing teams out and shooting the lights out? There was a couple games in the series versus Memphis where Golden State actually lost at home. They lost a game at home to Memphis, and Memphis did that by shutting down the 3-point game. And if the 3-point game gets shut down, it's shaky for Golden State. Who do they lean on when those threes stop falling?
Robin, you like Cleveland, or how are you going?
For the entire series, I think it'll be a close one, same as what they're saying. I'm going to have to give it to Cleveland. one, for what Chris said, the experience that's there, and two, if they are able to shut down the three, like if Irving steps up his defense, he's a little iffy, but if he steps up and gets on Curry, doesn't let him shoot, they don't have the bodies to get down low in the paint. They don't have the size that Cleveland does, and I think it'll come down to that. I think it'll come down to the size because they're just going to drive in on him the whole time.
Ashton, you going against the grain, or are you going with Cleveland as well?
I got to go Golden State only because I think that they're going to learn from experience. I think they're going to go back to the game they played in, February against the Cavs when they lost 110-99. And I think they're going to, they got to be looking at that film right now. They got to be saying, what did we do wrong? Where did we miss something? And I think they're going to learn from that. I think it's a young team who's going to be excited to be there. And that's the one thing that, as many finals as LeBron has and, being the new team, I think that just getting out there and thinking, here's where we are, look what we did. I think that's going to get them excited, and it's going to show us a team that, we may not be used to seeing, and I think there's going to be mistakes made on that end, but I think it's really going to get them jazzed up and ready to play at like a level that we may not have seen from them before.
By the way, they did split during the regular season 1-1. However, the first game, LeBron did not play for Cleveland, so it was a plus there for Golden State. So consequently, they're going in maybe kind of an even steal and hopefully good 7 games. And the National Basketball Association starts on Thursday, and again out at Golden State. There's another series that's going to get underway, and that's the National Hockey League. And my father-in-law down in Tampa Bay is like jumping through hoops right now with the Lightning coming up, and a big 7-game win, particularly over at Lundstrom in goal for New York and beating the Rangers at New York. They're in there, but they're going up against the Blackhawks, who have been in the finals 3 of the last 6 years. How does that play out, Robin? It's the experience against the youth of the Lightning.
Well, not only is it experience versus youth, sort of like the basketball team, but it's offense versus defense. The Lightning is the #1 offense in the NHL right now. The Blackhawks, they're #2 in defense, and it sort of reminds me, comparing it to football, the Super Bowl from 2 years ago, Seahawks versus Broncos, where defense won out on that. It was a bit more than just defense.
Big time, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now, they both also are extremely explosive on the transition, and they're going to be going back and forth, and this will probably be one of the fastest Stanley Cups ever, fastest paced Stanley Cups, where they're going to be going back and forth, up and down the court, or rink, sorry. Basketball still. But yeah, and I think it's definitely going to be a close one. I personally am going to give it to the Lightning, though.
Really?
Really?
Is it going to be a physical series? These two teams play. I know the Blackhawks play with great physicality, particularly through the neutral zone. We're going to see that as well, Chris, you think?
I would say from the Blackhawks end, absolutely. Tampa Bay, I think that they're getting to the Cup. They've had to play against less defensive teams. The East is not as physical as the West, and it's been that way for a few years. And especially when you're talking about the Chicago Blackhawks, you're talking about a seasoned team that knows this spot right here. That's why whenever they're down in a 3-1 series, nobody expects that it's over. No one's writing them off. They were down 3-1 in the series, as was Tampa, I will say. The Rangers, I don't know. I never really can believe in the Rangers, unfortunately. I love Henrik Lundqvist, but it's like every year something happens. Something happens and the wheels fall off. For Chicago, though, I expect them to come out and be forechecking hard and shutting down Steven Stamkos. He's going to be the key to the series for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But thankfully for the Blackhawks, they really just have to shut him down to slow the offense down considerably. I would say he accounts for 40-50% of their total offensive production as far as moving the puck around, getting guys going. And for the Blackhawks, they don't have to fall back on that. They can rely on Jonathan Taves or Patrick Kane. And honestly, contributions on the offensive end from their defense, from guys like Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith. Those guys score big goals when it matters because, like I said, they know what they're doing.
Seabrook, by the way, leads all the defensemen of the playoff with 6 goals. So they are getting some scoring from the defensive side along with Taves and Kane. So it should be interesting there. You, of course, being from Cary, watch the Hurricanes, going through all of this national exposure there. The excitement that surrounds that type thing, I don't know, you just kind of can feel that in Chicago and certainly in Tampa Bay. It's an exciting time for these guys in the National Hockey League.
And it's hard to speak from a lot of experience, being that the last time the Hurricanes were good, I was 12, 11. It's been a little bit of time. Oh gosh, I don't think I even knew what a puck was at that point in my life. But it is an exciting time, and even knowing that going to Canes games and going to any sports game, and watching these guys go hard, watching them skate, watching them get slammed up against the boards. it's a good time. You get excited, you get into it. Even when it's a 1-0 loss or something like that, you still have an awesome time. And I can't even imagine just the excitement in those two cities right now. The fans, the teams themselves, what they're looking at right now. Be like Mardi Gras all year round. I feel like just the excitement that's going to be in the air. And I think that's going to make each of these teams play better, stronger. And, I got to go with the Blackhawks. Personally, I don't know. I see them, for me, it's kind of offense versus defense. I think a strong defense can shut down a strong offense, but a strong offense isn't necessarily going to shut down a strong defense. And I think that when you've got the defense that they do and the offense that the Blackhawks have, I think that they're just a stronger team, and I see them playing really, really well.
Well, it comes from the goal out, and of course, Corey Crawford is expected to start this first game. Ben Bishop be on the other end for the Lightning. Crawford actually was pulled in the 6th game after giving up 4 or 5 goals, I know, so they're not afraid to go to their second line, but Crawford's got to be the guy that stands there, and Bishop as well. Is it won and lost back there between the pipes, guys?
I would say so, especially for Tampa Bay. Tampa can't win the game with win the series with goaltending, but they can definitely lose it. And you blow a few games early on. Ben Bishop's he's been solid, and it's interesting. He's actually 6'7". That is huge for a goalie. So he takes up a good bit of the net.
There's a net behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's about this much room, but people keep finding it, unfortunately, for them. But if he comes out and is not playing well, like I said, they have less guys to fall back on. Chicago is deep. Tampa Bay is a young, upcoming team. I read somewhere the other day, the average age of that team is only 26 years old. So to be here now, this may be the start of something. This might be looking at the Chicago of a few years back. Yeah. But for right now, I think that I would rely on Crawford. Crawford's been in the situation too. Even if he does get pulled, they can fall back on the defense, and their defense has a lot of depth, whereas Tampa's does not.
Yeah. Let's finalize the National Hockey League. Quick prediction. I think the Blackhawks maybe consensus here? Or
Chicago 5 games.
You said that you like the Blackhawks?
Yeah, definitely Blackhawks.
Oh, hedging your bet down there.
I'm still going Lightning. I'm still going Lightning. I think that their offense, it's sort of a risk. I feel like their offense can do something. They will get on the transition, get on the fast breaks, and they will cause problems. I'm not saying that, they're going to break the defense throughout the entire series, but I think they're going to come out to a stronger start, set the tone, and we'll see what happens, but I'm still going Lightning.
Don't be too confident about that.
By the way, I write all this down and we check,
so this real scoreboard, all right.
By the way, you're watching, of course, the Sports Bar right here on App TV. I'm glad you could join us with our 3 students on campus. And when you see them on campus and if they say something you don't totally agree with, bring it up to them. Let's see what happens on campus.
Do.
Maybe they'll bring some ideas back to us and we can share that as well right here every Monday right here on App TV. We're going to shift gears right now and go into football. There's a young man from Florida State University. Kind of a checkered career, a good career on the top end, of course, winning the national championship in his first year there. And then, of course, all of the problems started to follow him. But he has now been the #1 pick of Tampa Bay. Lovie Smith said this kid has picked up the playbook as quick as anybody has ever picked it up. And he is a real student of the game. The general manager said he's very friendly, very affable. He gets along with his teammate. Is this a different Winston that we saw at Florida State? Ashton, I'm going to throw this to you. Is this a kid that is finally going to maybe grow up? Maybe that's a little harsh, but still he had his problems in college, but this is the big league.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to, right now it's easy for Lovie Smith to say, oh man, he's picking up the playbook, he's doing what he needs to do. I mean, how many practices has the media been at right now?
By the way, the playbook is only this. He can pick
it up.
Just a bit.
No, I think that it's easy right now to say that, oh man, he's growing up, he's maturing, he's doing that. I mean, how many people are really seeing the difference he's making right now?
Yeah.
We're not watching a lot of films of him. We're not seeing, is he really doing this, or are they just trying to get the fans excited? They're saying, oh, he's going to be the one we needed the whole time. And, I was surprised when, they chose him. Personally, I'm a big Mariota fan. I thought that was where we were going to go. I thought that was what Tampa Bay was thinking. So we'll see there. But I think that he needs to grow up, and I think that when the franchise relies on him, I can see him doing it. I think right now it's too early to say that he is really going to change the game for them. I think that he's going to be promising. I think he's going to make it better. I think that you know, he's really going to show them this is what we can be, but it's not going to be a this is what we can be right now. I think it's 5 years from now, 4 years from now, down the line, that's when he's going to hit his stride. I think this year, and especially, you know, 2 weeks into OTAs, it's too early to say that he's really going to change everything.
He doesn't have to step right in either at Tampa Bay, right?
That's true.
That is true. As far as Jameis Winston goes, it's going to be him getting the stuff off the field dealt with. When you get rid of all those mistakes and you start focusing on football, I think he's a very good football player. I think a lot of his struggles this year at Florida State had a lot to do with the fact that he lost his guy, Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin started doing in the NFL exactly what he was doing for Jameis Winston in college, and that's when Jameis Winston heaved that ball up there, you know, maybe it's not the best throw, but Kelvin Benjamin was coming down with it. And when you lose that and you come into this year, I think that contributed to a lot of interceptions. And, you know, everybody, the target's on your back. When you finish the season, your freshman year, you win the Heisman, you win a national championship. I mean, honestly, there's unfortunately nowhere to go but up at that point. And so he had a slump, but I think in Tampa Bay, he's got the right situation. They've got to work on the offensive line a bit, but he came into a situation where they have Mike Evans from Texas A&M, who helped do the same thing for Johnny Manziel, and we saw how he struggled in limited play this year without a guy like that. And they have Vincent Jackson as well, who's basically an older version of Mike Evans. I mean, same 6'5", 6'6", big receiver, throw up and get it. And I think we're going to see a lot of those two in Winston's future. In a weak division, too. I mean, there's nothing to say that you can win 8 games and potentially win this division. We saw that last year. So
John Gruden, by the way, who coached at Tampa Bay and also at Oakland, even before the draft said this is a kid that people have to look at because he is so big and so talented and an arm. And I read a little account that one of the receivers in practice said he threw the ball so hard it almost ripped his glove off. I mean, that's a pretty hard throw. But John Gruden is very much in his camp. He's got everybody kind of backing him up right now.
Now, I mean, but a big part of it is, sure, you can be good in OTAs. You can pick up the book. You can learn everything. But how is he going to be on the field against people that are out there to rip, like, to take him out, to just like make him feel like a rookie? You know, like they're going to be sending everything after him. They know that he's big. They know that he has an arm, but they're going to be getting after him. And you know, we haven't seen him take on that sort of pressure. You know, back at Florida State, he had a good enough line that he really didn't see too much pressure in the backfield. There were times that he did have to scramble, but a lot of times he could just sit there. And, you know, when he did scramble, he made the most of it. But, I mean, so did Johnny Manziel before he hit the league, and we saw how that ended. He's a bit smaller, but, you know, I feel as though right now it's too early to tell. It's too early to know exactly how he'll be. We've seen a lot of people come out, big quarterbacks. Cam Newton's one of them, big quarterback, scrambled in college, all this. He had a great rookie season. After that, sort of declined a bit. I mean, he was also on the Panthers, and, you know.
They declined a bit.
Yeah, they declined a bit as well. But there's a lot of hype behind this that I'm not listening to because you can't tell just through OTAs how a quarterback's going to do.
So we're kind of level on that, and we'll see how that plays out. Of course, Johnny Manziel, by the way, threw a water bottle at a kid asking for a photo down in Dallas. Manziel is still a loose cannon. It
never ends.
Speaking of football, I think they call it football over in Europe. Yeah, and the soccer is coming up. And Robin, you followed this pretty closely. This is going to be a great European final over there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been a while since Juventus has been in the Champions League final, and right now in order to get there, they took out Ronaldo and Madrid. Right. I mean, they've been through a lot in the road to the finals. They're about to play Barcelona, I believe, on the 3rd, June 3rd, which is going to be Wednesday. And I'm for them. I love Juventus. Even me and my roommates, when we play, you know, soccer games, we play as Juventus or all those other teams. Now, I want them to win. I do. I love Messi, and I love Barcelona and all that, but I think Juventus is the underdog story here, and I think they're going to come out strong. If they could take out Madrid, they definitely have a shot against Barcelona, even with the all-star that Messi is. On the offense, they have Pogba. On the defense, they have Chiellini and people like that, and they have veterans. They do, and they have a lot of chemistry together. They've played together for a while. And I think they're a solid choice for the Champions League.
I think it's also in the fact that they won their last 3 times, have been in the finals, last time in 2011, and prior to that 06 and 09. So Barcelona definitely with the experience, but again, maybe that dark horse, that underdog, and they're playing in Berlin. They're playing in the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, which is a whole different atmosphere and what they're feeling. And both those clubs travel so well, and it's so much fun. It should be really, really fun. We have a couple of minutes left, and I want to get on another subject, if I could, the French Open. And of course, this is coming down. The number 1 seed, Nadal, is dropped all the way to 6. There's a chance he could play the defending champion coming up in the next round. And this is going to be very interesting, Robin.
Now, with Nadal, the problem that he's faced is coming into this, he has not been playing the same way that he has. He's suffered a lot. He's just been slower. He hasn't been as strong and as fast on the court. But coming into this, he's playing on clay. That's his home. He's a lot better on clay, and he's been showing it a bit. But he's still even though he is better, he still has slowed down in the past year. He definitely has a shot to be in the quarterfinals. But after that, I don't know if he's going to make it all the way.
But how about Federer? Can we see those two playing in the finals there, Chris, do you think?
I mean, it's hard to bet against Federer. Federer has been the name in tennis as long as I've known. But Nadal seems to not lose on clay. If I'm not mistaken, he's only lost 1 true match on clay in his career, or at least at the French Open. But with that being said, it's hard to bet against him. I wouldn't.
So it comes down, of course, on the men's side. The women's side is pretty much wide open, so there's going to be a lot of great tennis that's going on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
hope that you enjoyed it as much as we had. Of course, David will be in this chair for our next show coming up next Monday, and thank you for your time today. And that's just about wraps it up for us. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll come back and visit here at the Sports Bar. Even though we don't have any liquid libation there, we'll be back once again. We have opinions. We hope you share them with us. So once again, come back and visit us next week. I'm Sam Smith. Thank you so much, and welcome back next week to the Sports Bar. So long, everybody.